Hey, so originally I was just going to make a post about this on my community page, but as I was typing, I thought it would take more than a little explanation, so to get straight to the point, question, in the comments, please rank your top 3 anime and why. But before you do that, I want you to take into consideration of these 5 elements: art style, plot, execution, characters, and voice actors. In this video, I'll talk about my own top 3 anime based on these 5 elements. Totally not because I was bored or anything. Also, stay tuned to see the absolute worst anime I have ever seen. Okay, ranking number 3 on my list is Hyuga. Right off the bat, Hyuga is easily one of the most popular animes in the world, not only known for its beautiful art, but also the characters in the story. If you don't know the anime Hyuga, then I won't go out of my way to spoil it. And this is not me being lazy, it's just, okay, maybe I'm being a little lazy, but moving on. As I've said before, Hyuga is a beautiful anime. The characters, in my opinion, are nicely designed, as well as the scenery. Okay, I did not like the background music, so I switched it. Anyways, as for the plot, it's a bit iffy. I mean, the only thing it really has is Chitanda's uncle, which if you haven't seen the anime, go watch it and come back. Okay, hopefully, I'm assuming the rest of you have either seen it or don't see yourself watching Hyuga anytime soon. If not, beyond this point is your choice. Anyway, so Chitanda's uncle, my uncle, he's the one who originally founded the Classic Lit Club, resulting in our 2 main characters meeting. So I guess you could say the plot, given the genre of the anime, mystery, and a slice of life, which we all know and love, is a whopping 8 out of 10. The execution of the anime was great. I loved it. I know a lot of other people who loved it, and if you say otherwise, you probably have never seen the anime. Most of the time, I was caught completely off guard by most of the mysteries being solved. However, very soon into the anime, I just came to accept that Orki is the god of that world. In other words, the execution was amazingly done. I will say though, that there is one thing that still doesn't sit right with me. You know how Orki confessed that he was setting up the mystery traps so Chitanda would leave him alone, like in the first episode? If Orki really wanted to, my man could have just gone home. Instead, he took the time to set up a fun little game for her, which in reality must have taken a lot more time than simply making up an excuse. But then again, Orki is God in this world, so why not? And I understand that while he wouldn't have been able to make an excuse for every time, he could have just very well ignored her altogether. But he doesn't. Why? Well, this just brings me to my next category, characters. Orki might be your run-of-the-mill stoic genius protagonist, but his character isn't as run through as opposed to, Sasuke Uchiha. Finally, the voice actors. I added this to the elements that make up my top 3 anime because, let's face it, it matters. I mean, come on. Could you really just imagine anyone else voicing Naruto's English dub other than Principal Perry? No, I didn't think so. I really liked the voice actors here. And while I do see a lot of Satomi Sato in a lot of my favorite animes, mostly for her roles as Wendy Marvel in Fairy Tail, Yukiko Kanzaki in Assassination Classroom, and Saki Hanajimi in Fruits Basket, I thought her voice was perfectly suited for the role. She brought her own personality into Eru Chitanda, and giving the character a unique and, can I say, refreshing air to it. It gets an extra point for having Tia Ballard in the show, who voices the one and only Happy from Fairy Tail and 02 in Darling in the Franxx. My second favorite anime of all time, based on the ingredients I gave myself, is, and I'm gonna let this sink in for a minute, Death Note. Just kidding. No. You know what? It would have been Death Note if Light had won, because let's all be honest here, he deserved to win. There is literally no way he should have lost. No way!
Anyway.
My second favorite anime is Angel Beats. Some of you might clown me for saying this, but it was really emotional, okay? And I cried. I watched Angel Beats twice, and I cried both times. I even made a small edit about it, which you will see on the screen here, if I can find it. If you want to see the full video, I'll link it in the description below because I can't play the music that I used in this video for copyright reasons. Angel Beats is a beautiful anime, 10 out of 10, no doubt about it. The characters are beautifully drawn, and the scenery is just a chef's kiss. The plot is really interesting to unfold. I loved the world building and how different the story took on heaven, because it isn't the same for all of us. I myself should know that best. The story, again, if you haven't seen it yet, here's a spoiler warning. The story of how a bunch of people died with regrets from their childhood, getting thrown into this alternate heaven where they all become teenagers again, is a pretty wild conception. The goal of a plot is that it keeps readers/watchers/listeners entertained. It's why you decide to watch an anime in the first place. In my opinion, Angel Beats did this really well, and the tension was definitely there. As for the execution, I feel like there could have been a little more foreshadowing. Like, with the backstories, you had no idea what was going on until it all made sense. And at the end, when Tachibana confessed that Otonashi had given his heart to her, which had a perfect foreshadow moment when we got to see Otonashi's memories, which let her survive, using it as the excuse for why Otonashi couldn't leave, or in this case, be reincarnated, because he had given up his heart to her. Yeah, that all doesn't make any sense. Because, 1, didn't Tachibana die before Otonashi? She was in the alternate heaven when Otonashi appeared, and the other characters made it seem like she had been there before most of them. So how would have Otonashi's heart been given to her? Make that make sense to me. Maybe I'm missing something, but this annoys me to this day. Characters. The characters were solid. Everyone had solid backstories, well, the ones who'd gotten them anyway. Again, the tension between the characters, the heartache I felt when one of them moved on, and that graduation ceremony, y'all. I could not. Yeah, the characters were not at all run through, and I really appreciated that. It's one of the reasons why it's almost second to none in my book. As many of you know, as I said, no matter how good the plot, execution, or characters are, voice actors can make or break the knot that holds the anime sandwich together. And in my opinion, all the voice actors in Angel Beats were perfect. All except for you. I'm not going to say anything other than I know your bandwagon of characters and
Onionhead, if you don't stay as far away from me as possible.
However,
Todoroki could hit me up anytime. Moving on.
I know you've all been dying to hear what a nonsensical, unprofessional, maybe a little psychotic YouTuber like myself deems the best anime. Well, it's not like I've seen a ton of anime. There are a lot out there. But using the elements I've given myself and having the memory span of Dory, my top anime would have to be Alone in the Sea. Oh my god, that's so shocking. Obviously, for the majority of the elements I gave myself, Alone in the Sea comes in
Clutch.
art style, boom, amazing. Scenery makes me drool. Plot. This anime is surrounded by plot, okay? It's made up of plot. It feeds and breathes plot. Execution, perfect. Next, characters, yes, and yes. Monica annoyed me a little, but you know what? Bestie made the ultimate sacrifice in the end, so it makes up for her beginning failure. The voice actors,
Okay, I just want you to know that I've liked you. For a long time.
were just on par. And don't even get me started on how pristine the 4-year gap was, Kaname. Chisaki was best girl, and I'll fight you on that. Also, the slow bloom of Sayu, I ate that shit up. And finally, even though this wasn't in the original elements, Alone in the Sea wasn't based on a manga. It was its own and completely original. Furthermore, the moral of the story should have won a fucking Oscar. Overall, it was a fundamental message, which, if you don't know, change is inevitable. It happens whether you like it or not, and you just have to learn to accept it. Oh yeah, and my most hated anime is Vampire Knight. Like, who the f*** came up with this shit?
Complete and utter garbage.
Hey, so I know a lot of you might have been surprised to see that I didn't put Assassination Classroom or Fairy Tail or even Fruits Basket in here. I have my reasons for that. Like I keep saying, given the elements, or whatever you want to call them, pickles, I don't know, they set a bar for the things that make up a good anime, which is why none of these were in this video. However, if this was based on my personal feelings, then me being the biased bitch I am, Assassination Classroom would most definitely be up there at number 1. Tokyo Revengers, for personal reasons, would be up there for number 2, and number 3 would most likely be Soul Eater. Leave me alone, I don't care. Regardless of my opinions, I hope you enjoyed this video, and yeah, make sure to comment your top 3 and why in the comments, okay? I'm gonna go now. I hope this was like a refreshing video because this is not something I do often, but yeah. Okay, bye.